Hey, everybody. Thanks again for joining me for Think Your Way to an Epic Life. And today I've got a guest that is a returning guest, and we'll link his first episode. He is an amazing story. His story is going to strip away all of my excuses, my reasons, and your reasons for not living the life that you want to live. Not only is he going to talk to us about it today in this podcast, but I got a sneak preview to his book. This is super, super exciting. We'll get exactly when it's coming out. It's called Be the One. And guys, it's not like a motive. Let me tell you, I have read hundreds, literally hundreds of motivational books. That's not what this is. This is an instructional book. You actually are going to do exercises in here. And if please do it. Please, please, please do it. Please be among the very few that will take the time to get the book and actually do the exercises. Just reading the book is great. It's going to be awesome. But when you do the exercises, your life will change. So Justin Prince is joining me today. Thank you so much for being on today. How are you doing? You're on mute.
Yeah, I love being with you, and I love your passion and your enthusiasm. You have such a high vibe, just like such a warm and inviting vibe. And so when I had the chance to come back, as a returning guest, I was super honored and really been looking forward to it. I just really appreciate your support.
Oh man, you too. And seriously, people that don't know your story, if you can kind of give them a clue of why I would say that you are literally going to strip away our excuses. Did you have advantages that most people don't?
Yeah, so I came from a divorced family at age 12. We were kind of a middle-class family growing up. We moved 13 times in the 7 years through the teenage years. And I lived at home with my single mom. So my dad was still in the picture, but that was like every other weekend you'd visit and so on. And so I have no professional background. I was making pizzas and doing construction work. I worked at a mall kiosk. I tease people, the mall is where all of us old people used to go when the Amazon was a river. And that was where I worked, is at the mall. And I started my first business at 25. I always had big dreams and big goals. And I hope your audience listening, I hope they have dreams and goals in their heart, things that they want to do with their life. I hope that they want their life to matter and to have purpose and meaning. So I started the first business at 25, and I just go for it. I just kind of a little bit of ignorance on fire. I'm like, I'm going to do this. And the company that we were distributing these nutrition products for, the company itself went out of business. And so when that happened, it collapsed our business basically overnight. So I'm back on credit cards, back on taxes. I'm below zero financially. At one point, I moved my pregnant wife and our two kids into the loft of my wife's parents' garage. I pick up two part-time jobs. One I would do all week day, and then one on the weekends. And I remember thinking to myself, I didn't know if it was possible. I remember hearing an audio series by a guy named Jim Rohn. And he said, after all these great speakers spoke, he says, we now have enough testimonials and enough personal experiences to conclude that it's possible to create and to design an extraordinary life. And I remember thinking I knew it was possible for all those folks to do it. I just didn't know it was going to be possible for me to do it. And maybe some of your audience can relate to that. And people have asked me sometimes, they say, why did you write this book? I remember when I was really struggling, I'm driving down the freeway, I have tears rolling down my face, and I'm having a conversation with myself out loud. But honestly, I'm having a conversation with God. It was almost like a prayer. It was like a conversation out loud. And I said to myself, and I made two promises I made two promises to myself, but I really made two promises to God. Promise number one, I said, if I ever succeed, I promised I wouldn't forget what it felt like to struggle. Like that lump in your throat when you're financially behind, or that pressure on your chest, every breath you take, you can feel it every single, it doesn't ever go away. And the second promise I made is I would do everything I could to help other people to achieve their dreams and goals. I basically would try and wear myself out. I wouldn't just sit there on my couch and count dollars. I would try and serve other people as like wear myself out in that service. And so that to me is where the book came from. The idea of the book for me is, you'll notice it's called Be the One, not Become the One. You already are the one. You're the one that, if you think of the ancestral math, you have your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents. If you look up that family lineage, over the last 12 generations, it was 4,094 people. 4,094 people over about 400 years came together, care from all over the world, They lived and bled and died and sacrificed and gave everything they had, including the joys and the struggles and the triumphs and the tragedies, for you to have this moment, for you to be the one. So you are the one. Success is an identity process, recognizing who you really are. That's number one. The second thing, though, is the word's not become. It's be. Be is present. So in other words, I wanted to create I love how you introduced it. It's like an instructional roadmap to help you to create, to design, and to live an unforgettable life, a life that future generations can look up in that family lineage and say, it was her, it was him, she's the one, or he's the one. The divorce stopped with him. The abuse stopped with her. The addiction stopped with my great, great, great grandma. Or the financial principles that set our family free. It was my great, great, great grandpa. He's the one. And I tell the story in the book of my fifth generation great grandpa, George and Sarah Prince. I still pull inspiration from their story. I know their story, and I know who they are and what they accomplished and who they were, and the triumphs and the tragedies and the faith and the resilience and the courage they had. And so that to me is where I wanted to write a book that helped that the next generation, the next person, to know exactly how to be that person today. And I love what you said. Every one of the chapters of the book, the way the book's designed, is each chapter, if you apply just that chapter, so just that one chapter, change your whole life. If you apply all the chapters, it's going to absolutely change your life. And so it's a book that's an instructional roadmap to help you to be the one today.
It totally is. It's very rare. And to my listeners, I just want you guys to hear my heart when I say this. You know me, and you know how obsessed I am with how do I get to the next level, and how obsessed I am with helping as many other people get to the next level as I can. And on that point, I'm backing up. The fact that you made an agreement to help other people up, you don't know me. You are just like, absolutely, I'll be on your podcast. Why? Well, to help me up, right? Was that truly your intention?
Yeah. So in the book, I talk about what I call the rule of 33. So check this out. You've heard this concept, Kara. I think we all have, or maybe something to the effect of that you'll be like the top 5 people you surround yourself with most. So think of this as if you're a mom or if you're a dad. If you have a child entering their teenage years, if you were given the ability to control one thing, you got to choose. You know how it is as parents. We sometimes want to control everything, but let's just say you could only control one thing about your teenager. What would be the one thing that parents would choose? It would be their friends. We would choose who are these kids hanging out with, because we would know going in, if they're hanging out with great kids, they're going to succeed. I tell the story of Les Brown in there. He was adopted by Mamie Brown, and Mamie Brown says, baby, you hang out with losers, you're going to be a loser, and that's just how life is, right? The challenge with that rule of 5, the rule of the 5 people you surround yourself with most, I feel like the challenge is it's not that practical. We go to work and you're hanging out with so-and-so, and you don't get a chance to only hang out with 5 amazing people all day long. A lot of us, we have jobs and careers and families and our churches and our fitness and just all the stuff we have going on in our lives, right? So the rule of 33 for me is that you intentionally, proactively spend 33% of your time proactively with people that are in essence above you in the journey. And I'll say above you in their self-worth as a human, but just in the climb of life. Maybe they have more success than you, or maybe they have more money than you, or maybe their marriage is further down the path than yours, or whatever it is. In other words, you could learn a lot from these people. In fact, they kind of lift you up. They kind of pull you up. When you're with them, you're kind of getting stretched. Your mind's expanding because of who they are and what they've accomplished. The other 33% is folks that are basically at your level. They're almost like peers. They're going through similar struggles. They have, you have 2 kids, they have 2 kids. You've got a business, they got a business. You're striving to go to the next level, so are they. You're trying to get in shape, so are they. Like we can mastermind with them. We can learn from them. We can pull inspiration from them. Maybe some good insights that we could share and they could share. And then the last 33 is the folks that are in essence below you on the journey, meaning maybe they're younger than you. Maybe they don't have the success you have. Because here's what's so interesting, Karen. This. We learn a lot through the experiences, but we want to know when we really learn is when we're the ones teaching. Like when we're the ones mentoring, because you know how it is. The teacher is the one that is pulling all the insights. We're like up there thinking, God, I got to apply all this stuff myself, that bottom 33 when we're mentoring coaching. So I'll give you an example. Tonight, I'm doing I'm starting a mastermind here in my local community. I'm calling it decades in today's, pardon me, teenage mastermind. And I'm going to have a bunch of teenagers. So the youngest will be about 14. The oldest will be probably 17, 18. And I'm going to bring myself and then all these other successful people in our community, whether they're entrepreneurs or, in our, maybe in coaching or in politics or, restaurant owners, et cetera, just different people that can come here and teach these kids in our community. Why would I do that? Why would I do that? Number one, it helps me fulfill that second promise of helping other people achieve their dreams and goals. But the second thing is I'm the one that's going to learn from these kids, I'm going to be sharing some stuff and pulling and gleaning and hopefully, helping to mold and shape the next generation of leaders in our country. And so the rule of 33 to me is something I try and intentionally do. People that are surround myself with people above me, hang with the people that are my, kind of playing the game at my level, and then also mentor and see if I can pull up and teach those that are on their way up as well.
At your level, and I'm reading this out of your book right here. I think that the pool has to be shrinking a little bit, just a little bit. I've helped that same business generate more than $2.4 billion in sales and acquire more than 4 million customers. Plus, just a little aside, I've built my own multi-million-dollar businesses, 5 of them. Wow. So that is just mind-boggling that you're taking the time. That's why you are who you are, is because that's who you are, is because you're taking the time for the teenagers. You're taking the time for the small podcast lady. That you're taking the time for anybody who's willing to pick up your book.
Yeah. Well, it's so interesting. Just as you're saying all that, I believe in a philosophy and that I think could really help your audience a lot. And I've lived by this for 20 plus years. And it's always do more than you're paid for as an investment in your future. So you always do more than you're paid for as an investment in your future. The word always, guess how often always is? It's always. Really often. Always is always, right? Like always is not sometimes. So you're always, not occasionally, not sometimes, not when you feel like it. You're always doing not what you're paid for, but you're trying to do more than you're paid for as an investment in your future. In other words, an investment in the future of who you're becoming, an investment in the future of this person that you're put on earth to be. I tell people, you're not who you are who you're born to be. And you're also not what you did. You are what you repeatedly do. So in other words, your mistakes don't define you forever. You can build new habits and new patterns and new identities in your success identity. And so for me, I'm always trying to do more than I'm paid for as an investment in my future. I'm always trying to serve at a high level. There was times I've literally traveled all over the world. This is not an exaggeration in any way. I've traveled literally all over the world, speaking and coaching and training for sales teams that weren't even my sales teams. And I did it as an investment in those relationships with those people, but I was trying to do more than I was paid for at the time as an investment in my future. And absolutely, at the end of the day, that philosophy has paid off. We live sometimes, Carrie, this because you've watched this happen. We live in a little bit of an entitled culture and a little bit of an entitlement society. So one of the things I teach is what I call rid and raise. So if you're watching this on video, imagine this. Imagine a pulley system. So as you rid on the one side, you're actually raising on the other side. So you want to rid yourself of all entitlement. So just rid yourself of that. Your parents don't owe you anything, and your kids don't owe you anything, and the government doesn't owe you. Like no one owes you anything. So just rid yourself of that. And at the same time as you do that, as hard as that is to do, it's very freeing. Why? Because you can raise your personal responsibility. You can realize that you've got what it takes to make your life succeed. You've got what it takes. You can take personal responsibility, personal accountability. And I think that is always doing more than you're paid for as an investment in the future. No one owes you anything. And so why would you do it? Because you're doing more than you're paid for in the world as an investment in the future of what you're growing.
Absolutely. And I do believe someone who's looking at your life from the outside, like I do on social. So I feel like I know you and your beautiful family with 4 kids and your happy wife. And like, I feel like I know you. And if somebody's looking at you, they look at you and they read your book and the story about the chocolate chip cookie. Guys, I'm not going to tell you the story, but you have to get the book for that story alone. That tells me that you have built so much discipline. However, it wasn't always that way in the beginning, right? I mean, didn't you have to build up that muscle to be able to resist?
Yeah, that's such a great question. So um, Aristotle says it this way, and I think this is a really powerful indictment on all of us, but it's also the way that we break free, right? He says excellence, which is all of our goal, right? That's why you'd participate in a podcast like this. You're listening to grow and to become excellent at what you do. Excellence is not an act, it's a habit. He says, therefore, we are what we repeatedly do. So it's not in other words, when what you did is not who you are, what you repeatedly do. Now, here's the problem. One of the chapters in the book, I talk about 4 words that John Maxwell said that just changed my life, which was to live an intentional life. And live an intentional life. Most people live in a world of reaction to distraction versus a world of intentional creation. You start creating your life. So here's what you want to think about. The word habit comes from habitual. What does habitual mean? Well, it means that we do it over and over and over and over. It's for habitual. The challenge is most of us have habitually bad habits. In other words, we never designed them. We never picked them. We never casted out a vision of where we're trying to go. And so we're habitually doing, in essence, the wrong things. We're building habits that are sending us the wrong direction. So here's the shift. You say to yourself, what life am I wanting to create and to design? Where do I want to be in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years? What am I looking to accomplish in my life? Who do I want to be in my life, right? And then you ask yourself, once I know that, then what habits would I need to do to be that person, right? To be this person. In other words, to be the one, what habits would I need to design? And I think as we build and design those habits, they become habituals. In other words, the right habits become your default setting. The ones that you proactively created. That's when you have the disciplines. Because here's the discipline. Habits don't care about your feelings. Like when you build the habit to go to the gym and keep your body healthy, and I'm using the gym as an example. Maybe it's yoga, maybe it's a walk, maybe it's a run for you, whatever it is. But you build a habit to move your body. What do you do on the day you don't feel like it? You feel tired and you feel sore and you didn't get quite enough rest. And, you don't really feel like it's cold outside and you don't want to go today. What do? That's when you rely on your discipline. You build the right habits and then you lean on your discipline to say, get my butt out of bed and go do it. Or what do you do when you've built the priority or the desire to really build a great marriage or to be a great parent, to your children? But yet you've had a long day at work and you're honestly stressed out and your fuse is super short and you're hungry and you're annoyed and, the traffic was terrible getting home. And then something happens and you want to snap and, kind of snippety and snap at everybody. No, that's when you lean on your discipline to say, no, I'm going to build good habits. I'm going to build good transitions from the garage into my home. And I'm going to build good transitions to leave all the work stress at work and to show up with my kids with some joy and with some passion. So they know that dad loves them and dad cares about them. Or you show up with your wife and give her a kiss and tell her you love her, right? Versus bringing all that pressure in from the workplace. That's when you rely on your discipline after creating the right habits. We're going to habitually do it. So excellence is not an act, it's a habit. Therefore, we are what we repeatedly do. You can rely on your disciplines once you create those good habits.
Okay. So do you feel like you will ever completely be there to where I've got no room for improvement? I got my habits down, nothing, no room for growth.
The answer is no, but it's no for 2 reasons, right? The first one is it's like there's an old saying that says we don't know more than we know. So in other words, the more that you know, the more you know you don't know anything. Like the more that you learn, the more that you realize, man, I got a long ways to go. So it's like you just never arrive. You never arrive. But that's the first part. The second part is this, and this is maybe even a more practical way to think about it. So my question to Kara, think about this. If I'm listening right now, my question to you is this: when do you lose your hunger? When do you lose your drive? Like, I'll use a financial metrics as the example. Is it when you make 10,000 a month? Are you just like 10,000 a month? I'm good. I'm good. I'm not even going to work. I'm just laying here on the couch today. Is it at 100,000 a month? Is it at a million a year, or I'm so sorry, a million a month? Like, when do you say I'm checking out? And this is the difference. Like, I think there's people that are wired to say, I'm going to show up and serve at a high level. I'm going to be true to my disciplines. By the way, disciplines would include my values, my principles, my morals, regardless of whether I'm worth, $1 or $100 million. I'm still going to show up with excellence. And part of excellence is looking to consistently improve. There's an old Japanese word called Kaizen. Kaizen is the Kaizen principle, which basically means continual improvement. You never arrive. You're always searching to be the one. And here's what you want to remind yourself is the one is a constant. And Kara, have you ever like hiked on a hill or even a mountain? And when you're at the bottom, all you can really see is that hill, or all you can see is the mountain as you look up like this. But once you get to the top of the hill or top of the mountain, your vantage point changes. Remember, you've accomplished it at this point. You've accomplished the hike. But now you can see other mountains and bigger. Whoa, wow, look at that one. And you can see ranges, and you're just all of a sudden like, man, there's a lot more to do. That's how I feel. It's like, you accomplish this much, and it really makes you realize I can do more. I can be more, and really step into it. And then you can really truly step into being the one.
That is so cool. I figured that would be the answer, but I just really wanted to hear it from somebody who's at that mountain. And so I see on social that you bring your brothers, that you're a very much a family man.
For sure.
How important is that support for you to continue to keep conquering the world and doing the next thing and giving it a higher level?
Let me say about my wife specifically. So my wife is the rock of our family. She's amazing. Like, my wife is so strong and so courageous. She and I we just went on a birthday weekend getaway. So my birthday's coming up next week, and I'm going to be traveling and speaking and so on. So we did a little weekend getaway this weekend. And I told her, we were just walking home from a dinner one night. And I said to her, I don't remember one time. This is the truth. Like, I don't remember one time. It's like trying to go in the recesses of my brain. I was like, I don't remember one time when I don't feel like you supported me, or where I didn't feel like you believed in me. And she goes, now remember, Kara, we're living in the loft of my wife's parents' garage. We're below zero financially. Our first business has failed. I have 2 part-time jobs. I'm chasing another business. I mean, I'm out just grinding, trying to make it happen. She's got 2 little babies. She's pregnant with a third. We had 6 pregnancies and 4 babies. And so she would get just sick when she would get pregnant, like from the whole time, not just the morning sickness thing, the whole 9 months, we had a stillborn birth and a miscarriage. She was 4 for 4 in C-sections. I mean, this woman is as strong as they get, and yet, so here I am chasing and grinding and trying to make it happen and trying to make our dreams real and just the whole thing. And here she is, 4 for 6 pregnancies. She's sick the whole time, 4 for 4 C-sections. I mean, just a lot coming at her fast, and yet she never was like, what are you doing again? Like, what the heck, bro? Like, what's your deal? She was just like, you got this, baby. Like, you got this. She's just so strong. And I feel like I was so blessed to have, a partner and a companion and a spouse and just where she's just such a rock. I mean, she's just so like unflappable, So that was very, very powerful. Let me share this though. Let me share kind of on the flip side. And my family in general, like my younger brother, Travis, is 2 years younger than me. He's kind of the same way. He's just like, you got this. He's just like, you're going to do it. You'll figure it out. Like, just total belief, With that said, let me say this. I've had other family members that were like, so don't you think maybe you should like go back and get a job now? And this isn't quite, working out and the whole thing. We talk about this in the book. This talks about the rule of 33. So the words themselves are neutral. So let me give you an example. If a 3-year-old says to you, Kara, you're stupid, does it hurt? I don't know. You might just look at him and be like, hey, little guy, go find your mom. What are you talking about? It wouldn't mean too much. If a 33-year-old says you're stupid and you're going to fail, that might sting. Now, remember, the words themselves are the same words, but the weight that we gave to the words, we gave more weight to the words of those that said you're not going to be able to succeed versus the weight to the words of those that said you are. Let me give you an example. You do a social media post, 18 comments, 17 of them say, love it, great post, thank you so much. And the one comment says, this is the stupidest post ever and you're a loser. Which one do we fret on? Do we fret about the 17 thank yous and I love this post, or the one negative, right? We typically have as a tendency as a human is to give more weight to those that don't believe in us versus the weight to those that do. And I do believe there's safety in counsel. So I don't think any man should be an island. I think it's okay to get counsel, but you want to be careful of how much weight you're giving to the words of those that say, you don't got what it takes. Like, who do you think you are, including when that person's you? Because sometimes we get in our own heart, in our own head, in our own mind, and we kind of play small. And we're the only ones that are like, we're inside of our own head. I'm doing a coaching client today. Flew out to my house, just an amazingly bright guy. And we were talking yesterday, one of his kind of self-limiting beliefs. And I said to him, I go, let me ask you a question. I said, let me ask you an honest question. I said, if how much of that belief, if you had to put money on it, like, be honest with me here for a second, put money on it, you're going to get a 1,000% return, you're going to lose it all, right? So be honest. I said, how much of that belief is true and how much of that belief is in your head? And he said, probably 70% of it's in my head. And my point is, those are belief systems that we have to work through of weight he's giving. In this case, 70% of the weight he's giving these feelings he's feeling that are it's just him. And you got to work through that stuff in your own mind. So you want to listen to those that believe in you and listen to those that tell you that you can. You want to give more weight to the words of those that tell you that you can do it versus the weight to the words that those that tell you that you can't. But man, you want to surround yourself with people that say, I see who you really are. I know that you're the one. You've got what it takes. And you go be that one today.
This is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I've never heard anybody put it that way before about the weight that we give to someone who hurt us. And it is a choice. You get to stop that thought and move on. Guys, you have got to get this book. You've heard the wisdom from him twice now. And I promise you, I still have it in my lap. It's like my baby here. You've got to get the book. You've got to implement the book. It really will help you so much more. My recommendation let me hand it back to you. When can they get the book?
So it actually launches a week from tomorrow. Tomorrow, by the way, would be September 26th, depending on when this.
We will air this tomorrow on September 26th.
Even better. Okay, so September 26th. Did I say tomorrow? A week from tomorrow is the 26th, right? So a week from tomorrow is the official launch date in stores and so on. It'll be anywhere that you buy your books, whether that's online, like at an Amazon type place, or whether you buy them Audible or Spotify, or whether you go to a bookstore. You'll be able to get the book, across the country. And my friends, this will be a book that will change your life. And this will be a book that will change your kid's life. And this will be a book that will change your partner's or your team member's life. And so once you realize you're the one, and you realize that your life has value and purpose and meaning, and that there was 4,094 people that have given everything that they have for you to have this moment. And then the book's a tactical guide. It's a roadmap to help you to create and to design and to live an unforgettable life. It's exactly what you need to do today to be the one today. So in other words, to be that person today. I think once you go through it, you'll kind of start to get that feeling of like, yo, I've got what it takes. And this is the tactical strategies and steps on how to be that person today.
All right, guys. Well, we will put the links below. I would recommend that you get the book in hard copy, just like this, so that you can mark it up. And he's got like lines, and you fill it in right here, right now. And he will tell you, do not pass this part of the book. And then you're wanting to, because you're like, I want to no, do the exercises. I promise you, it will absolutely revolutionize your lives. Thank you so much, Justin, for being our guest. We appreciate you, and we so appreciate your support. This is amazing. Thank you for everything that you do, not just for think your way to an epic life, but that for anybody who wants to learn. Guys, seriously, I promise you, I believe the reason that people live lives that are so empty and so is because they don't know what to do. They don't know the next step. No one would choose to live a life that's less than what you want to. And this book literally will step by step get you out of the hole that you're in. I promise you that. Thank you guys.